It was an absolutely insane weekend of wild endings and controversial calls. Did J.J. Redick make a rookie coaching mistake that will cost the Lakers a second-round series? How will Damian Lillard's injury impact the Bucks' approach to the offseason? That and more ahead today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories every day with the help of Locked On's local experts. And with me are two of Locked On's premier national NBA experts from the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior writer for the Action Network. He's our man of 1,000 podcasts. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
I have absolutely no words for how great this weekend was. Just absolutely insane basketball, start to finish, every game. This is amazing. We are so fortunate to have this postseason so far. It's been tremendous.
It has. I feel like I'm on an NBA hangover right now. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, we've got the Prince of Petty. It's Hayes. Hayes, what do you do for an NBA hangover?
Watch more basketball. It's one thing that when you have a hangover of, you do more of. Watch more basketball.
That's a perfect answer.
The air of the dog. No.
All right.
Keep going.
All right, so that was we were in a good mood about NBA basketball, but we do have to make a little bit of an awkward transition here because the biggest story out of the weekend is actually a huge bummer. Damian Lillard goes down with a left leg injury that reports indicate could be an Achilles injury. He'll have an MRI today, so you may know his status officially by the time that you listen or watch this. Here's Locked On Bucks guest and managing editor of Brew Hoop, Van Fayez, with his reaction.
This stage in his career, he's going to be 35 this summer. Mm-hmm. It's fair to wonder, if he'll ever be able to recapture the form we saw this year from him, which, before the blood clot, I think he was an all-NBA candidate. But, we saw what happened to Kobe Bryant when he tore his Achilles. That was age 36. Just played 2 more years after that. Wasn't the same player. I mean, I feel really bad for Damian Lillard. I feel bad as a Bucks fan. I feel bad for other Bucks fans. I feel bad for, basketball fans in general being robbed of seeing someone this special play.
So I think it goes without saying that we all share Van's view on that and hope that Lillard gets back as soon as possible and can play healthy again. But the realities are the realities, and the offseason looks to be rapidly approaching for Milwaukee, down 3-1 in their series against the Pacers. The Bucks just re-upped their deal with their general manager, John Horst. Matt, if this is an Achilles injury and Dame has to miss most of, if not all of next season, how did Horst's job change last night?
The first thing that has to be said is the future is going to be up to Giannis. Like, Giannis gets to have his say. He's been the best player for that franchise since Kareem. Like, there's nothing. Giannis gets to have first say. So Giannis gets to illustrate, hey, it's really awful about Dame, but I want to compete, and I think it's time for me to go. And then he'll say, like, where do you want to go? And then they'll work from there. If Giannis is like, it's not Dame's fault, it's not your fault. Like, I'm with this franchise. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm not just in it for the good times. I want to stay. Then you go forward and you try and do the best that you can. I don't know how they're going to get around this next year. Like, next year, if Giannis stays, next year's a lost season. Like, it just is. You can reconfigure the roster, but it's not going to make a big difference, especially with their coach. And so there's very little optimism for them being able to make the changes that they need year over year. I don't have like a good sense of whether this is going to go. The vultures are obviously circling for Giannis. It seems like the most likely outcome is that he gets dealt, which then I don't know what you do with Dame when he comes back. Like, the whole thing is an awful, awful mess, and I just feel bad for everyone.
Yeah, I think we're heading to the place where they got to really consider moving Dame. I mean, of course, you're not going to move Giannis course, they're probably not going to move him unless they talk to him, sit down, and he's all on board. But like, look at the place that this team's in. They're over the second tax apron this season. I know they have a little relief in space between the second tax apron next year, but that comes with now having Dame, who's not going to probably play the majority of next season. You don't own your own first round pick into 2031. Like, this is the place where it's time to start asking yourself that question. Is it time to trade Giannis and get back the best young players and picks? Like, you probably get back four to six first round picks back if you play your cards right and moving Giannis. Like, so unless they really feel like they can pull a rabbit out of a hat here and course correct here with the Milwaukee Bucks, you have an aging roster. Your best players, over 30 now, which Giannis is still a very impactful player. That's not hurting you, but like Dame's 34. Kyle Kuzma's about to be 30. Brook Lopez is 36. Bobby Portis is about to be 30. Like, you're heading to that place where you start having to already make a significant question about your roster if the Dame injury didn't happen. That now adds a little bit more color to that this team is just in that place where I think they're going to have to ask themselves that tough question here soon.
And it sucks so much for Dame that this is how this has gone, right? Like, you want to leave Portland, you want to go to Miami, but Miami overplayed their hand and didn't have the assets. So he winds up going to Milwaukee, which should have been a good situation, but it was never really the right fit. And then he gets a blood clot and he works so hard to get back and then suffers this. It's just awful, man. The whole thing is just terrible. Hayes, I got one more for you, which is with the new CBA, and that I've been hammering on pretty much every week here on Locked On. New CBA sucks. Is there something to be said for getting rid of the Stepien rule? Like, if the Stepien rule was built to protect owners from doing what the Cavs did and sending out all of their picks, so you can't trade back-to-back years of first-round picks. But with the CBA so restrictive, like, the only way for the Bucks to be able to dig out of this hole would be if they could deal those off-year picks. Then they could be like, hey, we have enough draft assets in order to be able to package with Brook Lopez to go get another star until Dame gets back. Give us a fighting chance here. Like, is that maybe something that the league needs to at least consider in these kind of rule constructions to deal with the nightmare that is this new CBA?
I mean, it could be. I see the validity in using that as an option. I don't know if the NBA would do that because I think you still have to sometimes protect front offices from themselves in a way for the longevity of your franchise. But I wouldn't be mad if that ends up being the case, especially if you're going to remove exceptions from teams for being over the second tax apron. Why not allow them to use their own first round picks, whether it's back-to-back years or not, to be able to find some way to improve their team or get off some contracts. So I don't hate it.
So I'm curious about one thing. Both of you agreed that the first step should be talking to Giannis and finding out if he wants to be dealt or not in the offseason. If you're the Milwaukee Bucks and you determine that there really is no path forward because of all of the restrictions, because of the assets that you really don't have to build a team around Giannis that can be a legitimate title contender, why would you make it an obligation that he signs off on this idea? Why wouldn't you say, well, there's no path forward. We have to move whether he wants to be moved or not?
Well, I think one, if you tell Giannis, we don't have, like, we're out of ideas, man. We have no idea how we're going to get out of this. We can't put the team around you that you deserve. Then he's going to be like, oh, okay. So then somewhere warm, please. Two, like, you have to respect his status for the franchise. Like, it's important. Like, how you handle these things does matter. And no star is ever going to forget what Nico Harrison did. That's going to be asked about of every star that ever goes to the Mavericks ever again, is what happened there. And other teams are going to have to fight the idea that they'll do that. So from that perspective, and just the respect that I know they have for Giannis and how close he's been to that community and that franchise, they do need to and will have that conversation with Giannis about what he wants for his career.
All right, very quickly, Hayes, if the Milwaukee Bucks determine that that's the best way forward, moving Giannis Antetokounmpo, which team should be first on the phone to John Horst?
The Houston Rockets. I say the Rockets should be first to call.
Matt?
Clippers should call.
All right, let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. I have a feeling this won't be the last time we talk about this, so we'll go a little bit more in depth But we've got too much playoff action to talk about coming up. It was a weekend of insane endings. Lakers coaching decisions, buzzer-beating alley-oops, blown foul calls. We'll talk about it all. Plus, what cold, hard realities those crazy endings might be distracting us from. That's coming up on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Basketball and hockey playoffs, they are here, and there's no better time to turn your sports knowledge into real cash with Prize Picks, the top destination for daily fantasy action. Prize Picks makes it simple. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and you're in. You can even mix and match those players across basketball, hockey, baseball, and more for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Here's what I'm going to play this week. Nikola Jokic, more than 25 points, and Jaylen Brown for more than 4 assists. But he just put up a big points number too, so maybe you throw him in there for more points. And every lineup you make enters you into the Takes 2 ticket sweepstakes, a chance to win a VIP trip to basketball's championship series. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Make it your first read as well. Your favorite NBA team has a free daily newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com and subscribe to stay up to date with that local expert analysis that you hear on this show every day. The Los Angeles Lakers, a popular pick to play spoiler out west thanks to a strong finish to the regular season, are now down 3-1 to the Wolves after a 5-point swing in the final 40 seconds of Game 4 gave the Wolves a 116-113 win and capped a 43-point performance from Anthony Edwards. A lot happened in this game, but one thing that didn't happen was a lineup change in the second half for the Lakers. The same 5 guys played the full 24 minutes. Here's Locked On Lakers on whether or not J.J. Redick made a mistake standing pat.
A couple reasons I didn't like it. It was a bit of an extreme reaction to being up and the idea of having multiple days to rest afterwards. The Lakers don't play Game 5 until Wednesday. Once you start getting to like the 7 or 6 minute mark of the fourth quarter, you're pot committed. You can't just basically spell out in neon skywriting, I don't trust anybody else on this team, and then after sitting guys for 18 minutes, say, I need you to go in guys I don't trust.
All right, Hayes, your thoughts. Are you with Andy here on Redick's decision to play his lineup, which was essentially Dorian Finney-Smith in place of Jackson Hayes for the entire second half?
Yeah, it seemed like playing scared. Scared money don't make money, and that's what it seemed like. It seemed like he was coaching to not lose the game rather than coaching to win the game, and that's playing with fire when it comes down to it. So J.J. Redick, I mean, he's made a lot of really good decisions over his first coaching season here with L.A., so I'm not going to judge him too harshly. This was a mistake that we've seen some veteran coaches make to lesser extents, but, this was a game where everything was on the line. We talked about how if Minnesota goes up 3-1, the momentum that they're playing with, that's something that the Lakers had to avoid. So I understand coaching a little tense there, but it really just felt like this was a scared coaching decision that ended up kind of blowing up in their faces.
I blame Rob Pelinka for this. I'm serious. That's like my take is like you have to have a conversation once you get Luka Doncic. You have to go into those conversations and ask, "Hey, are you going to feel like you can trust Jackson Hayes in a playoff series?" And if JJ Redick's like, "Oh, I don't know," then you should probably go ahead and do the Mark Williams trade. Just saying, probably should have done that Mark Williams trade. Would have made a big difference here. Jordan Goodwin's been really good for them. I don't understand why there's no trust in him. JJ has just bought all in on this small ball concept, and the reality is like very simple. Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic can't stay in front of guys. Can't do it. And if you're gonna switching only works if you can trust those defenders. The whole point of these other schemes that you use in screening actions, drop, high drop, blitz, all of those are built on the idea that you trust your guys to defend. If you don't, like that you need, that those guys need help rather. Switching is when you're like, oh no, all of our guys are good and they can all guard all these different positions and we can handle it. JJ just went off the rails with trusting the small ball lineup. The trick in the series to me was you need to get Hayes to be playable. You need to figure out schemes and approaches to make Hayes a value marker because he's your only big since you don't want to play Alex Len. But yeah, playing him down the stretch, they definitely gassed out. Although I will say this, does it matter if he played Rui Hachimura 41 minutes? No. Does it matter if he played Dorian Finney-Smith 41 minutes? No. Like, let's be real. The answer here is that Luka gassed out and LeBron gassed out. It was those two. It's a 40-year-old and Luka in Nico Harrison shape. So that to me is like the big problem here. It's not about playing the other guys 40 minutes. It's that your main guys who have to do everything, they gassed out in the fourth.
How much of it was Austin Reeves not playing to the level that I think Locked On Lakers was previewing before this series started? They thought Austin Reeves was going to be a huge difference maker, not just in this series, but in their playoffs run, and he hasn't been.
I thought he was good in 2 and 3. Again, one of the problems is just like, they really overestimated, I think, how he can defend. And I'm going to continue to say this. Maybe they get an elite rim protector this summer and like a great wing. It's entirely possible. Who knows? Maybe the Grizzlies send them Jaren Jackson Jr. for Rui Hachimura, since everybody just wants to help out the Lakers. But as it stands right now, I continue to just be like, I picked the Lakers to win the West because I was like, it's not going to matter. They've shown the defense. And then my initial reaction to the trade was, oh, they can't defend because you got Luka and Reeves on the court. And that's what's shown up again. I just should have listened to my first thoughts and not talked myself into the Lakers. It was stupid. You can't have a viable playoff defense with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves on the floor, Hayes. You can't do it.
Yeah, no, and that was one of the concerns that I had. I know what the numbers were telling us when Jackson Hayes was on the court defensively, but it's just it's the Lakers. We all know that. Like I know that there was the hype over the Lakers every time they won. There was like this overreaction on how good they could be, and when they lost, oh, they're terrible. But like they're gonna make their roster make more sense. And while there were mistakes made over the course of the series, I think the Minnesota Timberwolves were just better prepared, and the physicality that they brought, the Lakers were just never going to be ready to handle that at the level that they needed to.
All right, so this was a back-and-forth affair at the end with a lengthy review that ended up with a foul on LeBron James and some Anthony Edwards free throws. What do you think the ending of this game and the controversy around Redick's lack of subs is masking in our conversation about this series, Hayes?
I think that it's the overall play that Anthony Edwards has had this year has just been amazingly like he's this is the series where it reminded me that he can be the best player in the league here at some point in time.
All right, Matt, what do you think?
I hear you, but also everybody's talking about Ant. Like everybody's like talking about Ant. Everybody loves to talk about Ant. You know what it is? It's 2 things. Julius Randle is a playoff guy now.
That's a great point there, Matt. That's
Julius Randle, who had such terrible play. I love it when this happens for guys, when they have 2 playoff runs and they're short and everybody's like, Julius Randle, not a 16 gamer, can't play in the playoffs. He's been a dog on defense. Luka's cooked him. Let's not talk about that. But overall, he's been a dog guarding LeBron James. He has forced the issue. He has been great. He's shot for the outside. He's made passes. And then Jaden McDaniels, who the old thing was like, hey, we're going to make Jaden McDaniels beat us. Jaden McDaniels is beating the Los Angeles Lakers, particularly the backside of them, over and over and over again. They have a 126 offensive rating with Jaden on the floor in this series. It's absolutely ridiculous how good they've been with Jaden. He's been scoring. He has taken it to Luka Doncic and made him work. And it's been really impressive. Those 2 guys stepping up is what's being masked in the series, I think.
Great point.
All right, Lakers and Wolves, not the only game that went down to the wire and featured controversy. How about the admitted non-call that should have been a call that ended Pistons-Knicks in favor of the Knicks? Here's a supercut of reaction from Locked On Knicks and Locked On Pistons. And if you're listening and not watching, let's see if you can figure out who's who.
This one, maybe not so magical for Detroit fans who are... I think are maybe a little upset about how things ultimately ended with the no call on Tim Hardaway Jr. to end the game.
That is a clear as day foul, and it has to be called. It absolutely has to be called. You just ended a playoff series not calling this.
The way this game was called, you can't call a foul in that situation because it would be utterly inconsistent with the football game, maybe more so the MMA cage match that was going on the Pistons side throughout.
Is this series physical? Yes, this series is very physical. And I'm happy with the overall physicality the refs have allowed on both sides. I will take it. And if it's marginal contact at the end of the game, you do not call it. But clear as day, foul, bumping a three-point shooter at the end of a game to win the game. Clear as day, just ruining any chance of the shooter making the shot because you get caught up in the air playing bad defense and bump the hell out of them. That is a clear as day foul, and it has to be called. You have effectively ended the series because you didn't want to call a foul on a clear as day foul.
All right, who's who? Matt.
I'll tell you what, Ric Flair. That's all I hear when Koo talks.
Matt, we'll do what this is masking coming up, but just your reaction to the non-call on THJ in the corner and the admission by the referees afterwards that they got it wrong.
I boxed myself into a corner because 3 weeks ago when Russell Westbrook fouled a shooter after the shot was gone in a Wolves game, I said it was a terrible way to decide a great basketball game. And so I am contractually obligated to say that they should not have. I will say I never want a call to decide it. For me, I get to the point where I'm like, unless he spears the guy into the third row, don't call it. Let the play on the floor stand.
Which could have happened in this game, by the way. That was actually a reality that could have happened in this game.
Ron Holland, if he could have lined it up. THJ definitely leans into him a little bit as part of when you look at that play. It's still it was a foul. There's just no question it was a foul. And it's crappy that Pistons fans have to deal with that being the outcome. It's more man, the Knicks got away with one here.
Taste.
It's a byproduct of a more physical product. It sucks, and the foul should have been called. I want to be clear there, but when you allow more physical game, there are going to be things that can be missed. There are going to be things I'm glad that everyone admitted. I think even Josh Hart admitted that it was a foul. We all get that, but sometimes when you let things go, you just got to deal with the good and the bad of that. Yes, it makes for a more entertaining series, but sometimes things are going to be missed, and it's unfortunate because it did end a playoff series. Unless the Pistons come out with maybe not reinvigorates, but maybe it fires them up to the point to where they just come out of here and get the next 2 games off, and then we're talking about a 7-game series. But it just sucks. It sucks for Pistons fans. It sucks for Koo, who's been so amazing. He's been the MVP of Locked On this season for real. Koo's been the MVP, man. He's been amazing to watch, and it sucks that it had to come to end like that.
I just don't understand how we spend so much time in review in these games, and the ends of these games take an hour. The final 6 minutes of these games take an hour, and we cannot get this call. There has to be a way to get this call right. It cannot be acceptable that the referees have to come out after this game and say, we got this call wrong and it cost a team a game. That just that and how long we spend in reviews otherwise, that doesn't line up for me. I'm sorry.
I personally think every buzzer beater period should be reviewed. Every it should just be reviewed. If it comes down to that's what's going to determine the game or not, every play that's there towards the end of the game, it should automatically have some form of review just to make sure you get it right, especially in the playoffs. That's just my personal opinion.
I mean, you can review it to see if it was off in time. You can review it to see if it was a 3 or not. You can review it to see all these types of things. So shouldn't you be able to just be and the answer here is honestly they should have called the foul and be we're going to review it. We're going to see whether it was a foul and then make that determination. You got to. I don't want more stoppages, but you have to make the call and then go back and review it in a situation that pivotal that literally decides the game.
Let us know what you think on YouTube, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA in the comments. Coming up, I'll ask what that controversial ending masked about this series and the Aaron Gordon finale oop, that insane ending to the Clippers-Nuggets game. What did that mask about that series? That's coming up. Plus, we'll take a look at Warriors-Rockets tonight and do a little roll call if we have some time on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs, they are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into a number of playoff props, from three-pointers to steals to assists. It's all there. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. That's FanDuel.com. More Locked On NBA ahead. All right, thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We're playing What Did It Mask right now, talking about some of these controversial endings that we saw over the weekend and maybe some of the things that they are hiding about these playoff series. So I want to go back to Pistons-Knicks. Matt, what did that non-call that should have been a call really mask about the reality of what the Pistons are dealing with against the New York Knicks?
I mean, the offense just being a lot better. I think that we got Karl Anthony Towns stepping up, making huge shots. Glad to see that for Cat because everybody continues to kind of doubt him when I think he's had 2 really good playoff runs now. Josh Hart being the type of guy that makes winning plays consistently, just offensive rebounds, big 3-pointers, even though he's a 35% 3-point shooter in the season, he makes them when they need him. He's been that type of guy. And then the other thing for me really is like JB Bickerstaff continues to just really struggle with interrupting these runs. An 8-0 run, the 21-0 run in game 1. There was an 8-0 run yesterday in the 4th. Like they have these consistent things where it's like they do all the things right to get a lead, and then immediately the Knicks respond, and they have no way of breaking it, Hayes.
Yeah, great points there. I think for me, it masks the fact that the last 2 games have been decided by a total of 3 points. The Pistons could very easily be up 3-1 in this series. And while it's unfortunate how things have ended, I think the Pistons can take away from this series, no matter how it ends, that they're going toe-to-toe with, one of the more questionable top 4 seeds in either conference, but they're right there. And this has been something that I think Pistons fans can still go into this offseason feeling very confident about the direction of their team because they've gone toe-to-toe with all the issues and limitations at times, not being able to handle the New York Knicks offense and the defense not necessarily being up to the intensity I thought. They still played a really damn good series, and they could very easily be either 2-2 or up 3-1 in this series. And
I think the absence of Isaiah Stewart in these past couple of games has been huge. And I think
Jaden Ivey.
And Jaden Ivey. I think one day Cade Cunningham is going to be so good that they won't, need those sort of marginal players to be available to win these games. But I think in this series, it's made a pretty big impact. All right, how about the Jokic pass that wasn't a pass that ended up as what DNVR called Aaron Gordon's finale oop to end the game? What did that insane ending cover up about the reality of the Clippers-Nuggets series, Hayes?
I don't particularly think the Nuggets have played too overall well in this series. Like, I love that it's tied 2-2, and I think this series is still one of the series that are going to go 7 games. But I think like this has been a much tougher series, despite it being 2-2 for the Denver Nuggets than it would tell you on paper. But it's still been my most fun series to watch. I still think this series is going to go 7 games, but the Clippers the Nuggets could very well be down way more in this series.
By the way, finale oop is based off of a sequence where they run 2-man game and then they'll lob to Gordon. So it's kind of like, this is like the most extreme version, I guess, but that was actually just a Jokic airball. I termed it the miracle at the wall, which I prefer very much, so that Clippers fans have to associate something bad with the wall. For me, the thing that's kind of masked in this situation is Hayes is right. Like, the Clippers are better. So why is this 2-2? Not the mentally toughest team. Just not the mentally toughest. Like, tough, but they don't like it. They want the games to be like game 3 where it was easy. And when things get hard, this Clippers team has a little bit of a struggle bus, just like a little bit of a hard time getting through the games, I think, when things get tough. And that's why, like, I think the Clippers win the series because they're better. They've been better across the board. But there's something about guys like Aaron Gordon and the way that the Nuggets are able to really dig deep and find ways that's going to make these final 3 games brutal for whoever comes out of it.
And Chris Dunn may be unplayable in this series. I don't know about the next series. But to me, so a lot of these series are coming down to, like, what do you do about your most unplayable player on maybe both ends of the floor or a particular end of the floor? And so I don't know that the Clippers have totally figured that out yet. All right, so let's move on to some games tonight. Only 2 games on the docket, including Game 4 between the Warriors and the Rockets. The Rockets are reeling after the Warriors won Game 3 despite not having Jimmy Butler. Here's Jackson Gatlin of Locked On Rockets with the autopsy report.
anytime Jalen Green tried to get into a pick and roll action, he had Draymond Green either, playing at the level of the screen or blitzing him. The Warriors basically turned Jalen Green into a facilitator. You needed Alperen Sengun to have a stronger performance than he did. And that was one contributing factor to the Rockets' offensive struggles, not getting enough out of Alp. But the other one, and arguably the bigger one here, and this is going to be the one that the Rockets have to figure out an answer for. Amin Thompson he really struggled in this game. He's really struggled all series. He's struggled to contain Steph Curry. Some poor game plan discipline from Amin Thompson at times, miscommunication on switches, not fighting over screens, fighting on pump fakes, like things that we haven't really seen Amin Thompson do before. Until Amin Thompson proves with consistency and regularity that he is able to punish an opposing team for parking a big on him, until he can do that, he's going to be an Achilles heel for this Rockets team.
It seems like the Warriors definitely figured something out with the Rockets. Obviously, Steph Curry's scoring performance, huge for them. Jimmy Butler listed as questionable for Game 4 tonight. Matt, can the Warriors deal with the inevitable counter to the counter tonight if they don't have Jimmy Butler in tow?
I like Houston to win this game tonight. I think that a lot of this is Houston's floor offensively is just rock bottom. It doesn't get lower except for Orlando, but their ceiling is not bad. Somebody will wind up stepping up. I kind of disagree on Amen. I think Amen has missed shots, but I think that he's been the guy that's been able to actually create stuff for them versus just ISO ball. I think they've got a better chance if Amen's able to get going. They should be running more DHO action to try and get involved. And the other thing is Draymond's actual defensive numbers are not good in terms of the on-court performance. They've been better with Looney on the court. So they're going to need to, I think, kind of counter program some of this. Jabari Smith Jr. has to play more. That to me is the big thing, is that Jabari Smith Jr. has to be a bigger part, Hayes, because he's somebody who can actually make a jump shot.
Yeah, you need somebody who can score, right? Like, especially if Jalen Green's not going to be, going nuclear and going off, you're going to need something more. But, I like the Houston Rockets' chance in this game. Without Jimmy Butler, I think that it kind of plays more into the strength of the Houston Rockets. But you always got to watch out for Steph to go off. Pods is always a threat to go off as well. But the Houston Rockets defense, I think they're going to have to put on a masterclass. But I definitely think that it's possible. You want to take advantage. As long as Jimmy's still going to be sitting out, you need to take advantage. These are the games that you need to try to win. They already missed one opportunity. The Rockets really got to come out this one and win this game handily.
Cavs Heat Game 4. Tyler Hero says the Heat are not going down in 4 games. Hayes, you say?
It's good to have confidence, but you're going down there, my friend.
Yeah, no shot. I think they're done. It's hard because it's like recency bias. They might be able to drag this thing back to Cleveland, but I was really impressed with the Cavs in Game 3. Stomping on them in Miami, no South Beach flu, no overconfidence. I was really impressed with Cleveland in that game.
All right, time for a roll call. Matt, which player performance went under the radar over the weekend?
How about TJ McConnell in that game last night, where this was actually a pretty competitive game in the late third. Now, like, Buck's dealing with obviously like the emotional toll of what happened to Dame, but the fact that McConnell was able to come off the bench, he gives you 7 of 10 from the field for 15 points and 6 dimes, and he was just absolutely tearing them to pieces. So I thought TJ McConnell was absolutely terrific in that game, and it was good because he actually kind of had like not as good of a year as last year, and I was kind of like, I don't know. If McConnell gets going, that's going to help the Pacers a lot, especially going into the next round.
Hayes.
Yeah, I'll say McConnell as well. Like he's such a utility player that he can make such a big difference off the team, especially with depending on how Halliburton's playing or not. So I'll say McConnell as well. I'll agree with Matt on that one.
I'll shout out Scottie Pippen Jr. Out of the playoffs now, but 30 points in that Game 4 loss. I think he gave it all he had in that series. That was a difficult one for Memphis, and they've got a lot of questions to answer this offseason, but I think they have one in Scottie Pippen Jr.
That's a great one, Doug, because that's the part where it's like you find out about guys and people are going to be like, oh, whatever. Like, it didn't matter. The Thunder were blowing them out. No, like SPJ was a big part of the reason why Shea had a bad series. He played great defense despite having a huge size disadvantage. Like, you want guys that, like, all right, we're down no matter what. You keep fighting to the absolute end. I was really impressed with SPJ this weekend.
All right, if you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts. That includes YouTube. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen. Check out Locked On NBA Game Night for recaps of every playoff game every night. Enjoy tonight's action. Be kind to each other. And we're going to see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA.